Hello, welcome back to our channel, American Ultras Talk. Here we are today. I'm joined by Braden, Trey, Jeff, and Akil. All of us are here to discuss a player that, in my opinion, is one of the highest ceilings in terms of talent, a player that has always delivered at the national level, but unfortunately, it's not going well for him lately. You can see on Braden's background, we're talking about Sergiño Dest. And I'm just gonna go around you guys. I'll start with Trey. What did you think of his preseason and his past couple of seasons club-wise? What do you make of it? Do you think it's all down to his attitude, as some people point out? What are the weaknesses that you see in his game that he didn't cover? And coming into the summer, a lot of people reported that Barca were going to give him a chance. And what's your analysis of his preseason, Trey?
Yeah, I mean, his preseason was poor to say the least. I mean, like absolutely awful, kind of like his club form over the past few years. And, the thing is, he's always been really good for the national team. I mean, we saw it in Nations League against Mexico. He was excellent. He's always been excellent for the national team. So I really don't know what it is with Dest. And, yeah, I mean, look, the last 2 years, they haven't been good. So that's why they sent him on loan to Milan last year, which was a horrible move for him. I don't know why he did that. And, look, he wasn't good there, and, he barely played. And I honestly don't know why he tried to give Barca another shot. It's clear from the last 2 years that Xavi does not rate him and has not rated him and will not rate him. And that's just evidenced by the fact that they're trying to terminate his contract. So I think a lot of this is fair. It's on Dest because his club form has not been good. It just hasn't been good. So look, I mean, he's been excellent for the national team, but I do think this criticism is absolutely valid that he's getting.
That's fair. Moving on to Jeff, you're a Barca fan. Also, by the way, a lot of new subscribers haven't seen one of the most legendary moments in this channel. Jeff burned a Real Madrid jersey. But moving on to you, Jeff, as a Barca fan, how did you think Dest played? Do you rate his preseason, taking into account his past couple of seasons as well, like I asked Trey? What did you make of it?
From a Barca fan perspective, he was not good this preseason. He did have a bit of his moments, and in that game against Madrid, it just pretty much sealed his fate. He's not up to the standards that I hope for. Given how he performed against Mexico during the Nations League, I had hope maybe that Xavi could finally give him the faith that Dest would have wanted to, try to have a redemption season with Barca, but that wasn't the case, and it's looking like 90% likely that his contract's getting terminated. It still hasn't been announced that his contract got terminated, but it's very much in consideration, and it's only a matter of time that the announcement it hits, and he's a free agent.
All right. Now, Akil, what do you think? Do you think that his preseason performances made it inevitable that Barca were going to try to get rid of him?
Okay, so first of all, I'll start off with the Nations League. And from what I've saw against Mexico and Canada, he was really good and dominant on that right side. But when he's played for Barca in preseason against Madrid, Arsenal, and I forgot the other games he played, but he was just not up to the standard of players like, for example, Jules Koundé and Ronald Araujo. But and I think the reason Xavi doesn't rate him is obviously his lack of defensive responsibility and ability. So Koundé and Araujo are much better at that. And if they want to defend someone like Vinny, they have to play those two, because Dest is just not up to that standard, and he's going to get burned by tough and fast and great wingers around the league and in Europe. So I think Dest, he has to get a move to a lower team. So that's not embarrassing or anything. It's just that Barca is a tough level to get to, and I think Dest could improve much more at a lower tier club.
All right. Braden, do you agree? What would you rate his performances if you had to say out of 10 this preseason as a Barca fan? And do you think that it is deserved that he's getting shown the door at Barca?
Yeah, so like everyone else said, I mean, we saw how good he was in the Nations League for the US men's national team. It's clear that his issue isn't skill, because he's shown time and time again for the US that he is one of our best players in terms of talent. I think that's fair to say. But I think this preseason, I mean, Barca's his dream club. He gets another opportunity, and props to Xavi for being open-minded to actually give him another shot. But I think he was a little too eager to show his skills. He was getting caught way too forward in the preseason games, not sticking to his position at all. He's trying to get up the pitch, because if you're trying to impress a coach, you're going to want to get in on the attack. And that's what he was trying to do, and he was caught out of position. The wingers that he was supposed to be marking kept getting in behind him. He got dusted a couple of times. I'm not sure if it's a confidence issue, if it's a mentality issue, maybe some sort of language barrier with his clubs, but I think it's clear that there's some sort of behind-the-scenes stuff that needs to be worked on. And I think Dest needs to lower his ambitions a little bit. It's not bad to be ambitious, but aiming for these top-level clubs like AC Milan and Barca when you're clearly not at the level is just stupid, honestly, for his career. He needs to accept that he's not at the level yet, which is perfectly fine because, like I said, I mean, they're two of the biggest clubs in the world. And just accept a mid-table job, lower his wage demands as well, because he has the wage demands as well as for a big club player, and he's not that. That's why no one's taking him.
Yeah, just to put into perspective, recapping everything that you guys said, the consequence of that in this preseason and his past seasons, like you guys mentioned, he's not at the level, on par with what he wants for his future apparently, but he's on $6 million a year. That's an insane wage for a right back, and apparently the only reason why Barca are considering to terminate his contract is no one's willing to take him on loan as well and pay half of his wages, similar to what happened at AC Milan. Because it's still $3 million, it's an insane amount. And the reasons why they would like to terminate his contract too, apparently, allegedly, are because he won't take a spot of a foreign player. They won't be stuck with him, and so they can just get rid of him and move on to make their signings. So I want to ask you guys, what do you think about this contract termination? And I mean, it is sort of unfamiliar for us to see this type of thing unfolding. And where would you like to see him if you had to pinpoint a club? So Shrey, I'll go to you first. Where would you like to see him, and what do you think about a contract being terminated?
Yeah, so I'm happy he's leaving Barcelona, but I do think this is pretty embarrassing, having your contract be terminated, especially having your contract terminated at your dream club. I mean, he's been a Barca fan since he was a kid, and just having your contract terminated must be like soul-crushing. So I do feel bad for him in that aspect. But in terms of where to go, I think Braden already mentioned, just move to a mid-table team anywhere in the top 5 leagues. There's nothing wrong with taking a step back. He's still really young, and look, we know that he has the quality to play at the highest level. So yeah, just take a small step back, or take a step back and go to a mid-table team and just show why you're our best right back. So, yeah.
All right, Jeff, Dest to Venezia confirmed, or what? Well, where would you like to see Dest play next year, and what do you think about his contract getting terminated ultimately?
Yeah, so first of all, I'm gonna talk based off of Dest getting his contract terminated. Like I said before, it's something that was completely unexpected. And it's pretty embarrassing / humiliating for especially a player that's a big fan of the club, and just seeing your dreams get shattered just like that. It's a horrible way to go out, but I guess we can say he had it coming. Just because he was making it so difficult with like you said, Yuri, the wage demands, not wanting to give up the foreigner spot, that too, controversy, him not taking advantage of the chance, the last chance that Xavi gave him. Yeah, but I can't say that it's not undeserving when it definitely kind of is. But as to where I would like to see him play, well, I have 2 options. I have one, he can stay in La Liga because he pretty much suits his style of play, suits La Liga. Definitely a mid-table team like Getafe wouldn't be bad. And the Bundesliga is one for me. And as for the club, I mean, I might be taking a shot in the dark with this, but I could say maybe Hoffenheim. Maybe he can go to Hoffenheim. Doesn't sound bad in my opinion. But yeah, those two leagues definitely I say are the best options for him. Oh yeah, and also he has to accept lowered standards when it comes to the club and contract issues, because we don't want another situation like that happening again.
All right, over to you, Akil. You watch a lot of the Prem. You watched a lot of Dest. Do you think that he could fit into any of those clubs? And if so, which one? Because I think the Prem is the only league that can afford remotely close to his wages. And in regards to the entire contract situation, what do you think of it?
Okay, first of all, I think Dest is just not up to Premier League level, and I think a move to either the Bundesliga or the Serie A would be best for him. And I just think he has to lower his wage demands, because what he's earning right now at Barca is crazy, if you ask me. And yeah, for a player that's young and who wants to revive his career, that's the best option for him to get more playing time. And for me, the best club I see is probably a club like Sassuolo in Serie A, to improve defensively, of course, and just get him to a better all-rounded player.
All right, that's completely fair. I think that Sassuolo is a great shout. Brayden, do you agree? And I also agree, Akil, his wage demands are insane.
Yeah, I think a lot of this depends on his wage demands because, like I said, I mean, his demands are completely unreasonable. He's on a contract suited for a big club, and we've seen he's not that kind of player anymore. I think if he were to lower his wage demands, I would love to see, and this might be a controversial take, but I'd love to see him go back to the Netherlands. It's clearly where he feels at home. He could be at one of the top teams in the league. There wouldn't be any sort of language barrier or any issue there. And I think it could be a great opportunity to get his career back on track before potentially making another move, another shot back in the top 5 leagues. And I think giving him another chance at Barca was kind of a curse, because in that time, a bunch of the clubs who maybe could have used another right back have filled that gap. Like I mentioned in previous videos a while ago, I thought Real Sociedad would have been a great fit for him. They've since signed Hamari Traore to fill that spot, and I think a bunch of other clubs have done similar things. So his hands are kind of tied with potential options.
That's true. That's why we have another transfer video coming up where we will discuss timing. The transfer window is everything. And now, just moving on to the last topic. This is a very interesting question, in my opinion. Up until what point is he still the number one starting right back for our team? Because the USMNT has clearly shown he is still the best rated amongst the staff and even amongst the fans. I think there's still a consensus that he is the best right back. But up until what point is he still the one starting, Trey?
Until he starts playing poorly for the national team, in my opinion. Because, I mean, this past season at Milan, he was horrible. The season before at Barca, it wasn't great. But for the national team, he's still been playing very well. So even if he, like, say, gets benched at, like, a mid-table team, like Sassuolo, for example, but he plays well for the national team, I'd still start him because he's really shown that he's been playing very well at the national team. So in my opinion, it just depends on his national team form, to be honest, because since he's been playing really well for us, I don't see a reason to bench him unless he gets to a really bad level. Like if he moves to like MLS or something like that, like okay, yeah, I'll bench him, but otherwise, no, I say keep playing him until he starts playing poorly for us.
All right, Jeff, you were really adamant on saying how well Scally did and how he's an underrated player, and that performance against Canada may be something that fans can refer back to use as an argument onto why he's ready to start. Up until what point do you think that Dest still has that locked-in starter spot?
Yeah, you pretty much took the words right out of my mouth. But with obviously Dest having big competition with Joe Scally, that's another factor he's gonna have to worry about with the national team. But to an extent, to when he can get benched, like Shrey said, once he starts performing bad for us, or if he's not earning any minutes at all with the determined club he might go to next, or if simply Joe Scally starts playing a lot better than he is, And let's not kid ourselves here. That position is still pretty much up for grabs. Even if most of you guys have Dest still as the lock-in starter, I'm still stuck in between with who we should start and who we should play, because that game that Scally had versus Canada, it pretty much shows that he's not giving up that spot easily without a fight. And we like that. Players competing against each other for a starting spot, and simply to have either one as quality. But to answer your question, we'll have to wait and see to see how Dest's situation fares out, and hopefully his form doesn't slip with the national team.
All right, Akil, do you agree? Do you keep on starting Dest up until he has a poor game for the United States, even if he's not really playing at club level?
Honestly, currently, Dest should be started for our best team. But in the future, his position's really in jeopardy. Because if Greg's smart, then he'd provide competition like for Dest against someone like Weah or Scally, who can easily overtake him. And considering that we have a bunch of more attacking options that are coming up, they're rising and into the future. Like, we could start seeing Weah come down as a right back and challenge Dest if he's doing poorly at the club level. And yeah, I also think that if Dest continues to play bad for club level and for national team level, then yeah, I like Dest, but I'm sorry to say that he has to be dropped. And in 2026, I think we can do much better in that position.
All right. What about you, Braden? When would you make that switch and put Scally starting over Dest?
Yeah, like Shrey said, I completely agree. It has to be solely based off his national team performances, because there's been so many examples of players in history who maybe things don't work out for them at the club level, but for the national team, they're a different player. And I think Sergiño Dest is one of those. And I think we have to remember, it's not all about who the best player is, it's about the best fit. And even if Scally does become a better player, and I think he's obviously in a much more stable situation, just being a consistent starter sometimes, maybe a key player off the bench for Gladbach, which is pretty impressive for a 20-year-old. But Dest knows the team, he knows the system, he clearly has great chemistry with all the players. His best performances in his career have been with the national team. So until, like Shrey said, until he plays bad for the national team, he can't be dropped.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So for all my takes that I'm getting right now, I'm not considering how our tactics are, since we don't know how we're going to play under Greg in his second stint. So I'm just providing my takes on the best player. And yeah.
All right. Now, before I wrap it up, I'm just going to give my take on this thing. I would never drop Sergiño Dest. I'm a biased person, and I think he's the best right back in the world. Honestly, no, I'm just kidding. I don't think he's the best one in the world, but he's one of my favorite players, one of the only players where I'm blindly biased towards. So I'll keep on starting him, even if he plays bad for the national team. It takes him 5 games for the national team performing poorly for me to drop him. But thank you so much, Braden. Thank you, Shrey. Thank you, Jeff and Akil. We'll see you guys next time. Make sure you give us a like, subscribe, and let us know if you like these insights on one player specifically or trying something new here. And we'll be bringing a transfer update, a proper one, coming up with sources and all of the USMNT players linked to a move that hasn't happened yet. We still have a lot to watch out for. So give a like, subscribe, and share with your friends. We'll see you next time.